Welcome back to Stu Studio, conservative takes on music. Last week, Hulu released a documentary on Travis Barker titled Louder Than Fear. Now, spoiler alert, I think the last line of the entire film is "Love is louder than fear." This documentary is fantastic, especially if you are interested in Travis Barker, if you grew up listening to him or admiring him like I did. So I fully recommend that you watch it, but I am extremely biased. Travis Barker has been my hero since I was about 12. He's the reason that I decided to get really good at drums. He's the reason that I thought it was actually cool to be in marching band. He's why I have my kit set up the way that I do. And his complex drumming is what got me into pop punk, which pretty much directs my entire life at this point. This documentary, a lot like most documentaries about a musician or a famous person, goes through Travis's entire life, but it opens with a bunch of famous drummers like Questlove, Taylor Hawkins, Tommy Lee, Lars Ulrich, Stuart Copeland, all saying that the drums are the heartbeat of the band. Questlove even says that the drummer is the center of the entire universe. And then they segue into talking about how Travis is unmistakable. His drumming style is unique and you can recognize it immediately. And some of his bandmates and artists he's worked with and even his manager say he's taking his anger out on drums when he's playing because apparently he has a lot to be angry about. If you know anything about Travis's personal life, you know that he was involved in an airplane accident in 2008. So they actually show some footage from the first responders on the scene to the accident and play some of the terrifying audio of Travis screaming right after he was just on fire, saying he needs to get into an ambulance. I do remember hearing about this crash in 2008. I was in high school and hearing how 4 people on the plane, including the 2 pilots and 2 of Travis and DJ AM's friends, died, and that he was badly burnt and injured and might not ever make a full recovery. This documentary has been filmed over the past 9 years, so they didn't really have a clear direction for it. There was no big ending planned. They didn't have a happy little button to put on it. He even said that maybe it will come out when he dies. They weren't really sure why they were filming in the first place. But they go to Travis on the Queen Mary because apparently he had not flown since the accident. So in order to play overseas and to tour, he would take the Queen Mary on a 9-day trip. I've seen videos of deep sea fishermen and of being out in the open sea, and I personally think that the ocean is a lot more terrifying than flying, but I also was not involved in a plane crash. Although he has made quite a home for himself and he knows the route so well that he can tell when they're passing over the Titanic. And he just sets up a room for himself with a practice drum kit and he gets to play drums and exercise for 9 straight days, which I think sounds pretty incredible. The whole documentary kind of leads up to his plane crash and then leads away from his plane crash, talking about how it is the pivotal moment in his entire life. So Travis's mom died when he was 15, and it all happened within about a month, finding out that she was sick to her passing. And her last wish to him was that he would pursue drums and become a drummer. So when his dad told him that he either had to get a job and pay rent or get kicked out of the house, he chose to play in bands, live with his friends, and go on tour. Apparently his dad told him that if he ever got a tattoo that he'd never get a job, so he took that to heart and he got all the tattoos he could, just so he would have nothing to fall back on. I think that's an incredibly bold choice to make, and it definitely worked out for him. I think if you can commit your entire life to that mindset, it's going to work out for you, but that takes a lot of faith. Like to decide that you're going to pursue something so much that you make nothing else an option, you work so hard at it and you make it the center of your life, I think it's probably going to work out for you as long as you can work that hard. So we see Travis's early drumming career in bands like Feeble and Aquabats leading all the way up to Blink-182. And at some point, Travis was partying and got hooked on pills, so much so that he had a personal security guard hired to watch him sleep at night to make sure he didn't die. And after Blink broke up in 2005, he started pursuing other musical ventures with hip-hop artists, with metal bands, with hardcore bands. We saw bands like The Transplants and Boxcar Racer, and he started getting involved with DJ AM, and their whole idea was to make beats and remixes live. And it was actually DJ AM who told him, you should not be partying all the time, you shouldn't be going this hard, you would be a much better drummer, person, father, if you didn't drink and do drugs so much. And this all came to a point after the plane crash when Travis had 65% of his body badly burnt, and he had to get skin grafts. But apparently none of the painkillers during the skin grafts worked because his tolerance for painkillers and pills was so high. I cannot imagine the living nightmare he went through. Like, even someone with most of his body tattooed could not withstand that kind of pain for very long. Definitely one reason not to do painkillers or pills or hard drugs of any kind. And Travis resolved that he never wanted to be as high as he was in the hospital. But unfortunately, DJ AM took it another route, and one of his therapists, I guess, told him it's not a big deal if you pop a Xanax before a flight, which eventually turned into a pill dependency and killed him. While Travis was recovering, Tom DeLonge called him up and started hanging out with him through his recovery, saying, if you ever get through this, we are going to make music again, which eventually they did, although they did break up again. And Travis was building his chops as a producer, working with friends, making as much music as he could. They replaced Tom with Matt Skiba, or as Blink fans call it, the Dark Days, until Mark got cancer. And again, Tom came in, started hanging out with him through his recovery, said, if you ever get through this, I'll be here, we'll make music again, which we all know they did. And all of this physical and emotional pain, all of this suffering that Travis has been through and that he's witnessed has caused him to be one of the healthiest humans on the planet. I don't think a fully vegan diet is really that healthy, but he's vegan. He doesn't do any drugs. He trains in boxing as what seems like a lot more than a hobby. And he runs so much that he even sets up marathons called Run Travis Runs, which has made me think maybe I should start running. That also might just be crazy talk. And this crazy healthy lifestyle led him to none other than Kourtney Kardashian. I know not at all what you were thinking. I guess they've been neighbors and friends for years, and he just decided that she was the one. But this is where the documentary gets its most heartfelt, maybe even wholesome, because Kourtney, I guess, got pregnant shortly after getting with Travis, and she actually suffered a miscarriage. This is something Travis has recently been very open and honest about. This did lead them to pursuing IVF, and that's something that I did not know about their story. I remember seeing clips and previews of Keeping Up with the Kardashians with them visiting doctors for IVF, and Kourtney asking, is it okay if there's spit in the semen samples? So it all seemed very lighthearted and played off. But according to Travis, this was all due to suffering through infertility, through a miscarriage. So you have more sympathy for them. Still, don't do IVF, but you know that the people who are pursuing IVF are really struggling through sadness, through heartache. But after trying IVF 30 times, they just decided to wait and see if it happened naturally, which it did. There were some crazy complications during this pregnancy, and I guess the baby's lungs were filling up with fluid, and they had to perform a surgery to drain the baby's lungs by puncturing her uterus and her stomach. Medicine is insane, but they did get their baby boy Rocky. Travis even had the band cancel 4 European shows, which means he had to boat all the way there just to cut the tour short and boat all the way back. I cannot imagine going through those kind of complications after you have already been through a miscarriage, or being so open and honest about it. So I really hope this documentary, and if not the whole thing, at least clips of this portion of it, go viral and help people feel seen and heard and understand that even celebrities go through stuff like this. Even Kardashians go through it. And apparently Kourtney is a great addition to Travis's life because she was completely understanding about him never wanting to board a plane again. He even wouldn't let his kids board planes. But he finally told her, okay, if you plan a trip somewhere that we cannot drive, I will fly there. Just don't tell me until 24 hours before the flight, because he didn't want too much time to stew on it or to let his anxieties work up. So she finally told him they were going to Mexico, which North America, I feel like you could find a way to drive there. But he agreed to it. His kids thought that he was crazy because he was the strictest parent growing up, saying you're never getting on a plane. Planes are out of the question. Flying is dangerous. It kills people. But it ends with him finally getting on a plane, saying that love is louder than fear. Throughout this entire documentary, it seems like Travis is just the hardest working person in the entire world. He had one goal, and he made it the center of his entire life, to become the best drummer that he could. And even now, he plays drums for hours a day. He exercises and boxes to stay in the best shape that he can, to be the best dad that he can. He wants to always be there for his kids. Like, the biggest obstacle that he faced was himself and his drug addiction. That's nothing small, but that is entirely self-inflicted. For a while, I thought that this documentary was downplaying drug addiction, but after the death of DJ AM, Travis really saw it as off limits something that he could never touch again. If he wanted to be there for his kids, if he wanted to be healthy, if he wanted to keep playing drums, he just couldn't do it. So the positive message isn't really that love is louder than fear, it's that hard work is louder than the bullshit that will keep you from your goals. It's that life is a meritocracy and you're gonna fall behind if you're not the best you can be. Travis definitely sees that and he's been working his whole life to overcome it. So hopefully that's the message that viewers take away from this documentary, and not that the love of a Kardashian is gonna get you over your trauma, because we all know that is definitely not a given. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Stu Studio, and remember, Jesus loves you.